I've never seen any great leader who was afraid of being fired. If you're afraid of being fired, more than being afraid of not doing the job you want to do, then both are going to happen.
This is episode 200. It's Thursday, January 27th. It is 2022. Is that how we say it? 2022. That's how we say it here. This is the Token CEO podcast. We are brought to you by Felix Gray. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, which is, have you ever looked on your app at how much time you spend staring at your screen? It's disturbing. Your poor eyes are like bloodshot and fried from all the blue light that comes off of your devices. Felix Gray glasses help you with that. So Felix Gray has been around for 5 years. They were the pioneer in creating glasses that help protect your eyes from blue light. I just ordered the Roebling style in the lychee color, which sounds delicious. I'll want to eat them. They're a clear frame with a pink tint. But what's great about Felix Gray is that the glasses help protect your eyes from blue light. They help you be able to stare at a screen longer. Yay, more work and more Wordle. And they help you not get blurry vision from staring at your devices 24/7. So if you go to felixgrayglasses.com/token, that's FELIXGRAY glasses.com/token, you can get glasses and free shipping. So you can get glasses, free shipping. They have prescription and non-prescription. I had a call we've hired a woman who used to work for me as a consultant. She's helping with some B2B marketing stuff. And I was wearing my glasses yesterday. And she was like, oh, are those blue light glasses? And I was like, yep, they're Felix Gray blue light glasses. So go to felixgrayglasses.com/token and get yourself some today. All right, so it's the 200th episode. We're revamping this thing. We're in a constant state of revamping. We're going to do, I would say, three new things with this show. So one is we're going to start the show by talking about what's going on in our world. So we used to do headlines, which was great, but this thing only comes out once a week. Headlines were great when this was a daily podcast. But what I'm more interested in is what's happening around here. What am I reading? What are we thinking about? What are things that Barstool Sports is struggling with? What's news or topics out in the industry that are worth us diving into? So we're calling that Erika's Boardroom. We'll still do headlines. We'll still talk about the Barstool noise and drama. We'll still talk about stuff that's interesting to people who listen to this show. But we'll rebrand that as Erika's Boardroom. The second is we will do a Q&A. So today we have Rachel and Mackenzie. So we're doing the ladies of Token. We're talking about what it's like to work on this show. We have John Bacon. I read a New York Times article a couple weeks ago, actually over break, and it was talking about John Bacon. He's just launched a new book called Let Them Lead, which is the lessons from the worst hockey team in America. We're going to talk about adulting, and then we have a special Work Like a Girl today. We hear about one student who's turned a professor's misogynistic comments into a huge fundraising scholarship. All right, so first let's start with the boardroom. Let's start with what's happening around here. So things that I'm thinking about. So this past weekend, I was reading Seth Godin's blog. So I don't know if anyone here follows Seth Godin. You guys don't follow Seth Godin? I feel like Seth Godin and like Malcolm Gladwell are like they're Gary V before Gary V was Gary V. And they have really interesting observations, or Seth Godin has interesting observations on management and work and marketing. He wrote a book, I think it's called The Purple Cow or something to that effect. Anyways, he has a blog. It's called Seth's blog. I follow it. And the blog topic was called the Control Responsibility Matrix. And what was interesting about the Control Responsibility Matrix is that it sets out the type of people that you have at work. So in the top right quadrant, you have the ideal leader. And kind of the description of an ideal leader, as I remember it from the blog, is that it's someone who has responsibility and then they take accountability. So being able to own your mistakes and being able to be accountable for actions that you are responsible for, really in this blog and in this matrix seem to be the defining thing about being a great leader. The second quadrant, which falls right below it, is the whiner. And what I thought was interesting about the whiner is that the whiner is someone who takes responsibility but isn't accountable. So the person who has a lot of responsibility, but they spend most of their time whining about it or whining about other people or just focusing on what's wrong and fixating on what there is to complain or bitch about. To the opposite of the leader, so right next to the whiner, is the victim. And the victim, as Seth described it, is the vast majority of people at work, which I thought was really sad and kind of a big statement. But the victim is someone who doesn't have a lot of control, that is hiding in his or her organization, that's passively taking orders, that's not stepping out into leadership roles, that's not taking incremental responsibility. That person is just like a victim to what's happening in the workplace. And then the last quadrant, which is the top left, is the martyr. And the martyr is also really interesting because the martyr is someone who just has so much empathy. So they have responsibility, they don't take control. And the reason they don't take control is because they're so empathetic to how people in the organization are feeling. So we have the leader, we have the whiner, we have the victim, and we have the martyr. Really kind of an interesting matrix because, let's face it, 3 of the boxes suck. And I think at times in your career, everybody falls into those different buckets. And one of the things that I've started thinking about is when I look at our management team or I look at people at Barstool Sports, like who falls in what bucket, right? We're in the middle of a contract negotiation with Jared Carabas right now, and it's been a really interesting process. He's talked about it a lot. Dallas Braden, his co-host, likes to bitch at me on text about it a lot and blame me for it. But what's interesting, that was a victim-y sounding statement, so that's just everybody can be a victim. But what's interesting about this, in seeing Jared navigate what's next in his career, is he's almost a victim of it. He's like, I have to make a choice. I am going to disappoint someone. I have to make a decision that could be unpopular or that has risk. So it's almost like he's a victim of his success and a victim of having to make a decision that's now his responsibility. His responsibility is to make a decision about the next stage of his career, and he's struggling with that. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. We just had someone leave last week who worked in the podcast group, and he was balancing, hey, I got a great new opportunity. There's equity, there's upside. I have the ability to chart my own destiny, but this sucks. And I think that's actually a really interesting sentiment from a lot of people, which is when you put yourself out there and then you get choice, that choice almost feels like the worst thing ever because it makes you vulnerable. It makes you have to make a decision. You're going to make somebody else unhappy because of that decision. The decision could be wrong. It's definitely going to be unpopular. And just seeing how people really struggle with that is interesting. And when you're talking about people in the workplace, you got to think about leadership. You have to understand, what are you going to do with the whiners? Are you a whiner? When are you a whiner? What makes you a whiner? Are you a victim? How are you a victim? When are you a victim? And then I think it's good to be empathetic about employees, but at some point, when do you stop being empathetic and you start being in control of what you can do, what your team is capable of? And so I think those are all things John Bacon and I will talk about today that I'm really interested in, that we certainly struggle with, that I definitely struggle with, but I think they're really present in the workplace. The other, I also had a real-time example this week where, we had a lot of drama at the end of last week around Dave. And when Dave drama flares up, Dave's a unicorn, biggest personality on the internet. It takes a lot of attention and focus. It's like your stop, drop, and roll. Like, there's a fire, we got to figure out how to put it out. I have a meeting on Thursdays called the strategy meeting, and the goal of the strategy meeting is to create an environment where it's not directive. I think one of the criticisms I would give of myself as a manager is like, I'm just running like a constant task list, and it's very directive. I have a friend, Jenna, who tells me that that's all masculine energy. Like, masculine energy is like, go do this, get it done, task list, make it happen. And that I need more feminine energy, which is collaborative and vulnerability and discussion and things being open-ended. And so I've created this strategy meeting where we talk about open-ended topics. And it could be anything from like, what are the company values, to why aren't we retaining people the way we want to, or how do we grow brands in better ways, or where have we failed? And I really like it. It's a chance for people to work together. It's a chance for people to be vulnerable. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's no to-do list that comes out of it. It's really designed to be a discussion. I think the glory of working at Barstool Sports is to fucking do something about it. Like, you don't like how the meeting went? Well, hey, guess what? You didn't speak up in the meeting once. You didn't like how it was discussed and it was not concrete enough? Okay, propose a structure. I think we all can forget in the moment with a reaction to something of like, what are we trying to do here, and how can I make something better? And how can I be a productive part of that? How can I not be a victim, and how can I not be a whiner? How can I be more empathetic and a better leader? I think everyone can be a leader. A leader doesn't mean managing people. A leader means being a leader and setting an example and taking responsibility and having accountability. If you haven't already, subscribe to Things You Missed. So quick little commercial break, which is Things You Missed is our newsletter. You can go to barstool.link/TYM. That's a quick roundup. So instead of listening to me do headlines here, you can actually read the headlines in your inbox every day. It's a roundup of everything happening in tech, media, and on the internet. And you can get it right in your inbox at barstool.link/TYM. All right, Baked by Melissa. How exciting that we have Baked by Melissa. I love Baked by Melissa. Haven't you like seen those trays of like the psychedelic cupcakes? Who does not want psychedelic cupcakes? If you are looking to send someone something very, very sweet, you can send them Baked by Melissa. If you go to bakedbymelissa.com, you can send the love. Cupcakes, who doesn't love cupcakes? Everybody loves cupcakes. You're 9 years old, you love cupcakes. You're 75, you love cupcakes. If you have done something bad, send cupcakes. If you really love your partner, send cupcakes. Or maybe just send cupcakes to a woman who you think is awesome. Don't send a creepy note. Write something nice and thoughtful and just let them know you're thinking of them. So I love Baked by Melissa. I think it's a perfect gift. They ship everywhere. The quality is amazing. They taste great. You'll be appreciated and loved for it. Maybe you'll even get laid. So go to bakedbymelissa.com and send the love. You cannot go wrong with Valentine's Day cupcake gifts. Okay, Q&A. All right, so for our 200th episode, we have Rachel and Mackenzie. Mackenzie edits the video. Rachel does social. They are coming on to talk about this show and what we've learned in 200 episodes. All right, ladies, how are we doing? Good. Are you going to look at me? Or are you just
I don't know. I never know how to sit. Like, it's so...
It's awkward. It makes you look fat. I know.
Far back, yeah.
Okay. All right, so what... have you learned? You've been with me all 200? Pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Probably like 160, 170?
Probably. Because I started when you were doing on Zoom still.
Yep.
I was in Chicago still.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rachel,
a lot of them.
What have you learned? What have you loved the most, learned the most? What have you loved, learned, and liked the least?
So I've loved that I feel like I have like, I don't think in any other job in the world I would be doing as much so quickly. Like, running a total brand is kind of crazy. So I love that I come here and I'm given like all this like not power, but like I feel like I can be very like free with how I create your brand. What I don't like all the time is that like things I do and don't like. I don't like that it changes all the time, and I do like that it changes. Like, you talk about a lot how like we're always raising the bar and like the goalpost is always moving. So that kind of makes it hard sometimes to like know if and where we're doing a good job. And so sometimes I just like feel like we're like trying to like keep our heads afloat, and that makes me feel a little bit on edge sometimes.
Yeah, okay. And what have you learned?
Oh my gosh, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about, I mean, like nitty-gritty stuff. Like, I've learned a lot about social. I've learned a lot about production. I can now, like, before this job, I didn't know how to edit in Premiere. Now I can do that like semi-well. I don't know. I've learned like a lot from you and like this show, and like I've learned how to take something like a brand, like your page, and turn it from like this isn't a podcast page, this is a brand, and like
Yeah, you've
create
made
a
a
whole
community.
economy and
Yeah.
like kind of community. So I think that's
great.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a cat, and you look just like my cat.
Oh my god! I'm
You
like kind of
do.
insulted.
No, it's the cutest cat ever.
Okay, fair.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
Fair,
this
fair,
cat.
okay.
But the cat, I swear.
I've never gotten that one. Actually, recently someone told me I looked like Drew Barrymore, so that was better than the cat. But
No,
I'll take the
this
cat, I
cat
guess.
is gorgeous, and I'm convinced the cat just controls everything with its mind. It's always there,
I
and
think
then
all
it's just
cats do.
very quiet, and then just looks at you just the same way you look right now. Okay,
So I'm
So on that
sneaky,
note-
yes.
okay. What have you loved, learned,
Oh,
and liked the
okay.
least?
Oh my
Mackenzie.
gosh. Okay. I don't know. What I've loved is working with you because you're obviously like very high up at this company, so it's cool to like
Mid-level.
see your okay
The highest, striving,
yeah, maybe the highest.
trying to make it. Yeah,
Um,
actually, the garbage person.
and so it's really cool to be a part of your daily life and like see the tasks that you do every day and like how busy our like I was thinking about it, our like the schedule today was so packed, and you're just like literally without even a minute in between, you're just walking from the next room to the next studio to be on a call, and it's like so hectic, but it's really cool to see everything that like goes on behind the scenes. What were the other questions?
Learned.
Learned. Oh, what I've learned is how to like think on my feet again, because like today was very hectic, and like obviously your schedule is always changing, so it's
So
kind of like
annoying.
you just have to adapt and learn to like live with the decisions you make and figure it out. And
That's annoying.
but it's good to know how to like react like that and have that quality. And then was that it?
Like the least.
Like the least. Like the least is probably the schedule
Yeah,
change
okay,
and
I get that.
everything.
I get
But
that.
but again, I learned from it, so it's a
So
good
you
thing.
worked on Call Her Daddy before. Like, what's the
did.
similarities with Call Her Daddy, and what's the difference?
Oh, well, the content for one is a little different.
Way less interesting.
And no, I wouldn't say less interesting, just different. But I don't know. I think the edits were very different because like hers was very fast paced and like dramatic, and there would be like dun 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 in the promos and who said this, who said that. And the guests were always like very different. But yeah, I think the content is like the main
Yeah.
the
just
main
slightly
difference. Yeah, a little bit.
So we are you doing Q&A with me?
We have questions that we made, but
Oh, okay, great.
That's just backup if we.
Oh,
if you wanna
this
do
doesn't
that.
go well? Okay. Yeah. All right,
So-
what do you got,
We're
Rach?
not ready.
so here I take notes by texting myself things. I don't use my. Okay, so my first question is, it's kind of a Q&A, but you always talk about like faking it till you make it and like the importance of that. So how do you know when you're actually doing that / or when you're like actually in over your head? Like what's the difference between faking it till you make it or I'm actually over?
You're just fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is a good question. So I actually had this conversation with my friend Jenna last night. So one is that I think it's really easy for anybody. I think women say it for them, but like I was talking about joining the WWE board and how when I first joined, I felt very intimidated. I was nervous. I was insecure. I was unsure of myself, and I didn't know the rules, and they had a board that was very like this is how you do things. Yeah. And to be fair, I needed to learn the way. I'd never been on a public company board. When it is a public company board, you have a duty to shareholders. It's serious, right? Like it's serious. So I felt like that for me was a little bit of a fake it till you make it moment of like, fuck, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I feel uncertain, and I'm me, which is kind of messy. Yeah. And I'm getting like chastised for being late or not doing things the right way or saying the right things. But then over time, what I realized with that board is how much I love it, how comfortable I am, how much I have to say, and how much value I think I can add. And that's been like so incredible. So one thing I think is if you're in a fake it till you make it scenario, you got to give yourself a little bit of time because everybody at the beginning of something is faking it. Do you know what I mean? And that's and maybe we need a better word than fake it till you make it. I think in over your head though is like my friend and I were talking about scenarios where we both found ourselves in over our head. And I think one of the places you get to when you're in over your head is when you take on too much responsibility or too much responsibility, and then you're like, oh God, I'm actually not good at this, and it's too late and I'm in a corner. And I think this can happen in your personal life a lot. Like I find it happens a lot for me in my personal life. I have more business experience than I do sometimes I think life experience. So it's like I find myself in the in over your head scenario way more in my life than I do at work, if that makes sense.
It does.
Do you feel that way?
I felt that way when I started here. I don't know about personal life. Like I don't, sometimes yes, like kind of like making plans with people and then the plans come up and you're like, I don't actually want to go because I don't know what I'm going to talk to this person about. But I felt that way when I started here. Because like when I started, it was like me and Jordan and that was it. And like no one was making clips. And I was like, oh, well, I have to stay up every night and learn how to make the clips. And I was like, I actually can't do this. Like, what if they're not up in time? And so like, you kind of just figure it out.
You either figure it out or you have to ask for help. And I think the worst thing you can do when you're in over your head is to suffer in silence and not say anything. Everybody knows you're in over your head.
Yep.
So let's be clear. Like you think you're the only one that knows you're in over your head.
Like,
you're
yeah,
not.
everyone's
knows
aware.
you're in over your head. And then two, it's like you have to be vulnerable and ask for help.
Yeah.
And then you have to, I struggle with this a little bit. You have to actually change. Like you have to be like, I relinquish control.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be taught. Or I'm going to stop this bad pattern that I have at work or at life. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I feel the same way too. I mean, I studied like television, radio in school, so I knew the editing and production side, but I never really worked with like cameras and stuff. So it was similar where they were just like, okay, go in the studio and set it up, and then
like,
I would just like figure it out, and then I would literally ask a different person every day because I was like embarrassed to keep asking the same people. So I would just like,
great skill.
and I would ask like a different person some new
Like a little
technique.
10% different question.
Yeah, and then I would like take photos and videos, and I would just kind of like, and I still barely know how to use them. I think there's a lot more things that I can learn still. But like I just like, it's kind of like you just get thrown into it and you're like, all right, I just got to figure it out. So I will.
I also think Google is a great resource.
Oh,
Like,
YouTube.
I know.
I
just
learned
Google
everything
it.
on YouTube.
I feel like I had to start taking a medication recently, and then I was like, fuck, I don't know how to take this medication. And then I was like, I also think, sorry, I fall victim to this. My mother does this all the time. Everyone I know does this. But like, you know when you try something just a little bit and then you give up and ask for help? Where it's like, I can't get this. So I can't get the jar open.
Yeah.
I can't figure this out. I think all of us have a tendency to do that one thing versus like, okay, I'm going to keep at it until I figure it out. Or if you just Google things, you can find so much information.
Anything.
I'm reteaching myself how to play piano. I played for 12 years and then I stopped for like 8 years, and now I'm like, I don't remember. And I sat down, I started crying because I was like, how do I forget this? I played for so long. And then I started Googling it and I was like, oh, I can do this.
I Googled how to like use I got a new curling iron. I bought
it looks great.
without knowing how to use it. I'm like, oh, I'll figure it out. Just Googled it. Like 2
and
days
if
before a wedding I had, I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to use it so I can get my hair done. But yeah, just YouTube.
Just Google it.
Tutorial. Okay, mine is similar to yours though. What's your favorite thing and your least favorite thing about being the CEO at Barstool?
Oh. My favorite thing is the people. I love the people here. I love this place so much. I love the people. I learn so much. I like delight in it. Like I saw Dana Beers in the hallway today. I gave Dana Beers a hug. I was so happy.
He has a girlfriend now,
He does?
apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I know, right? Wiped up.
She can like drink beers on the mattresses on the
Exactly.
balcony,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell.
imagine?
So I really love the people, and I love the culture we've created. Like I love that you two can get thrown into jobs and have no idea what the heck you're doing and come out with something amazing. To be part of that is amazing. What I like the least is it's just so much. It's just, you can't, it's very hard to get out from under it. Like I try to set boundaries. I try to take time off. I try to like shut my phone off when I get home. And I don't know if it's something I don't like in myself or I don't like about what we've created here, is that it's very hard to have any, it's so big, it's so alive, it's so on the edge that having any boundaries is tough.
It becomes like we're friends with these people, so it's like everything becomes part of your life. And you can't get away from it if you're so obsessed with it.
I don't have friends here the way you guys do. Like, I like that you're all friends.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. I think that's actually very dangerous for where you are in your life. That like your whole world starts to orbit around this place. I think that's super unhealthy.
Oh, it's not my whole. It's literally just these two.
Okay, that's fine. You can be friends with these.
Do you have a favorite, back to the people really quick, do you have a favorite content person? You probably can't say this, but like who you think is like, the funniest? I mean, I feel like a lot of people do.
Oh, who's the funniest?
Yeah,
I
like
don't
the funniest.
know who the funniest is.
Or like, did you have somebody before you started working here that you really liked?
And I always really liked Dave.
Just Dave,
Yeah.
I think Dave is wickedly funny.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of his accent. I love his accent. I do. I just love it. I love his voice. I love it. But it's also like I just saw Little Sass and I was like, Little Sass. Another person chirps me on Twitter about how much
Oh, well, don't get on Twitter then, because they already are.
Because I said it.
Yes.
I said I'm going to dock his pay by $5.
Oh my gosh.
He tweets me about Little Sass getting paid. But I'm like, we'll see how good this show is. So anyway.
I have a last question. It's
Okay.
what's your favorite part about each one of us on your team?
Oh, I love that. Okay. Okay.
Mine's that I look like a cat, I think.
My cat, which is the best cat.
Okay.
Let's be specific.
Yes, okay.
I mean, I'm going to show you a picture of this cat. This cat is
We'll
the
put it in the
cutest thing.
episode too.
can't
Yeah,
wait.
We'll put a comparison.
cutest thing I've ever seen. Okay, so my favorite thing about Rachel is how far you've come, and I think your commitment to the community is really like amazing, and I love how you take risks. Like, we always have a text of like, hey, can I? And then I don't answer you for like 2 hours. And then you're like, oh, I just did. And you're always right. I think the voice you've created is really amazing. And to watch you develop in that has been really inspiring. I love that.
Thank you.
Mackenzie, I think you're just so gifted at what you do. And I love how like silently, munchkinly determined you are. Like you're so quiet but you know you're thinking and then you're just like doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I love that about you.
Thank you.
I think you can do anything you want in your life that you set your mind to. I think your mind is so strong.
Real
Thank
G's work in
you.
silence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
like,
Lorenzo,
exactly.
I love that. You know what I like? I was talking about Lorenzo last night because I obviously was kind of hard on Lorenzo last week. And I was like, and I was up your asses on Slack this weekend. And I was like, I have ideas. I want this thing. I want this thing. And then I'm like, where the fuck is Lorenzo? Like, he's not writing me back. He's not on Slack. He's not answering me. He must not care.
No.
Gosh.
But then I had this realization yesterday morning, which was exactly what I love about Lorenzo, which is that he's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
he's going to think about it and internalize it and process it. And then, like, I was like ready to come in Monday being like, oh, we got to do all this stuff. And then it was like, voila, it's everything you wanted, but better.
Yes.
And this is smarter than you had to begin with. And it's just so lovely and thoughtful. I think you're so thoughtful.
That is so nice.
That's why I wanted to ask. I was like, we're going to make ourselves feel good today.
Oh,
It's like so sweet.
Yeah.
it's only downhill from here.
Yes.
So, all right. So speaking of, I have a question for you guys. Nope.
Okay.
All right. Alto IRA. Do either one of you have an IRA? Girls.
What is
You don't know what an IRA is? Rachel.
Your
No.
retirement?
Is that a...
IRA.
Oh, I have the Roth IRA.
Okay.
Yes.
yeah.
I have that when I started.
Yes.
I checked it recently, and I'm doing
Roth.
very well.
We don't offer an IRA.
No, we
Wait.
do.
No,
Roth.
IRA
I have a
is
Roth something.
not your retirement?
Okay.
I know I'm saving money.
All right. So for all the young people out there, think about retirement. Are you thinking about your retirement? You're not. So like instead of buying those shoes and those socks,
They were a
which look
gift.
expensive.
They're
well,
from Outdoor Voices.
All right. Well,
Shout out to
that's
Heidi.
I love Tahiti, but I would like you to not retire in poverty. So that's a nice thing that your boss.
Thank you
did
for
not.
caring.
Thank
So-
you. Yes, that is good.
Alto offers an IRA. If you want to make investments for your retirement in things other than the stock market or your Robinhood account or crypto, you can get an Alto IRA and be able to save for retirement with their products. They invest in crypto, real estate, artwork, startups, even wine. So they're like a super progressive investment company. When you have an IRA, it means you can put financial contributions, you can put money in and you don't get taxed for it. So you get you don't get the taxes taken out, so it becomes an added benefit to saving. So you're not just putting $1 in, you're putting $1 in without any taxes taken out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you pay $1 for your shoes, but when you put your $1 into your IRA, you avoid taxes on it. Sales tax,
I really would like
state
to
tax.
avoid taxes.
Okay. So if either one of you wants to actually save for retirement or get an IRA, you can go to altoira/Barstool and you can get started just for $10. Why don't you two go get an IRA?
Yes,
$10.
I will.
$10. Actually, you know what? I will give you each $20.
Shut up.
Okay, this is on record, so
$20 for your IRA.
Okay,
Actually,
deal. I'll do it.
I will give you as much money as Little Sass has on Pay Little Sass tweets into your IRA.
Okay.
okay.
So I
the
need to
number-
calculate.
So I'm gonna make a lot of burner accounts and tweet.
Exactly. All right. So that's all. altoira.com/Barstool. Okay. All right. So today's episode is about coaching. I feel like coaching is such a big part of someone's life. You're coached at work. You're coached at home. You're coached in your relationships. Like that's the glory of all of those things. You're obviously coached on the field or on the ice or in the court, where being able to learn from people who have more experience than you, being able to learn from people who play alongside of you or work alongside of you, and being able to understand what your strengths are and what you can contribute and what you can learn and how you can grow, and most importantly, how you can do something together as a team. I think that's one of the most rewarding things in life. So this is the On Coaching episode. We're going to talk to John Bacon, who wrote a book called Let Them Lead, Lessons from the Worst Hockey Team in America. And here's that conversation. All right. Well, thank you for doing this. We're so appreciative. You ready to jump in?
I'm ready to jump in. Thank you.
Okay. Love your book. Love your story. I was reading, there was a profile on you in the New York Times maybe like a month ago or 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I loved it. And that's how then we went hunting for you, because we were like, ooh, we gotta talk to this guy, John Bacon. But
Hopefully I was not that hard to find.
no, you weren't. It was great. But what I really love is, so you've written a book called Let Them Lead. You're talking about the lessons from the worst hockey team in America and how those lessons can be used in life. They can be used in work. This is a podcast that is in large part about life at work. And what I loved about your story was not just like the lessons from losing, but also the way that you developed character in people and the way that you delegated leadership to others and the impact that can have. So let's just start from your vantage point. Like, can you give a quick synopsis of your story and, the biggest things you've learned or you're imparting in the book?
Well, sure. First of all, thanks, Erika, for being here. It's a cool podcast. I'm a Barstool's regular naturally, but thanks for reading the book and getting those lessons out of it. Those are kind of the main lessons. One is that big mistake currently being made in leadership. The current leaders are so afraid of alienating the Generation Z and the millennials and so on that what do you got? You got Casual Fridays and Taco Tuesdays and kombucha machines and beanbag chairs, and it's all cool. It's all well and good, but the train's got to leave on time. So the more successful ones I've found are the ones who raise the bar, not lower it. As my mentor, Al Clark at Culver Academies, who's sent a few players to Colby over the years, men and women, what he said is that the easiest way to make it special is to make it hard,
Yeah,
which
I
seems
loved that.
utterly paradoxical, but it's true. Look in your bio. You beat out 70 men for the spot running Barstool Sports. Why is that cool for you? Because it's hard, because very few can do it. That's why you appreciate it. So that's how it happens. Navy SEALs, the same thing. They take 1 out of 6. They take 6% of their applicants, and the Peace Corps 1 out of 6. So the first thing we did was raise the bar, not lower it, even though we're the worst team in America. It's kind of crazy. And then as fast as I could, I put the players in charge of as many things as I possibly could. Stretching and counting was the first thing. We were bad at it, but we kept at it until we got it right. And finally, the players started taking over just as Al Clark, my mentor, said they would. The idea is that if they know that they have to do some hard things that not everybody would be willing to do just to make the team, that after that, they start enforcing the culture themselves. And the great line comes from John Cooper, the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, might win a third this year, I hope he does. He was coaching Lansing Catholic Central. At the same time, I was coaching Ann Arbor Huron. So somehow, Erika, our career paths seem to diverge.
Yeah,
He's
just
busy
slightly.
today and I'm not. Yeah. That man's coaching hockey today and I'm not.
That's
so,
all right.
That's all right. It all worked out fine. But his great line was that on bad teams, nobody leads. On good teams, coaches lead. And on great teams, everybody leads. And that's what you're trying to build at Barstool Sports, what you've been building from 12 employees to 300 employees.
Yep.
You can't manage them all directly every day. You can't. They
Yeah.
have to know how to manage themselves.
I really loved it. I think that, so I had a couple thoughts about it. One is that River Rats is a terrible mascot name. Like, why did they call it that? I don't get it. That sounds like a
well-
derogatory phrase. Hit me with that.
Erika, your vibe was dead on. That started in 1966 when Ann Arbor High School became two high schools. Ann Arbor Pioneer, that's where Ken Burns, Jim Harbaugh, Bob Seger, Jack Lausma, who walked on the moon, they all went there.
Okay.
And then Ann Arbor Huron opens. We're the other school.
Yep.
And our most famous alum is James Lights Out Tony, the middleweight champion. So we're a different world,
Yep.
clearly. So they called us sewer rats at
Okay.
first. And being the late 60s, being hippies, I guess, they took that as their own and became river rats.
Good for
and
them.
I guess so. But
Good
hey,
for them.
we're the one and only. And frankly, for this kind of book, if you're going to Hollywood with this thing, that mascot could not be
Perfect.
better.
Yeah, perfect.
Mighty Duck.
For
There you go.
central
Right.
casting, they love this. They love
Exactly.
this. But what I really liked, what I liked about you, John, is that, I liked the small things that you did. And I think that one of the things that's hard in a business and hard in a team is to really only focus on the things that matter. So, I was first really struck by the fact that making something hard is what makes it great. Like we talk a lot at Barstool about how hard it is to work here, that like this is
And it
not
is.
for everybody. And it is hard. It sucks. It's long hours. You don't make a lot of money. You're like grinding your teeth on video edits. You're like slogging it out in the trenches of sales. But being hard makes it great. And there's a pride that comes with hard work that I think is intangible. And I loved how you encapsulated that. I thought the second thing that was so interesting was getting other people to lead for you. Like I loved I think sorry, just to ramble for a second, which is in one part of the book, you mentioned how, your first season, you were like, hey, everybody, you got to write an essay to come on the team. Like, send me your essay. Tell me your feelings. Who are you? Whatever. And they seem to be like, fuck off, coach. Like, we're not going to give you that. And you said that, like, less than half submitted it. And I think most leaders.
3 out of 15.
3 out of 15. Okay. So
Not good.
Not great. So 3 out of 15 submit it. And I think most managers give up at that point. Like I think most managers are like, it didn't work. And you really stuck with it. And I think that is for people who want to lead, whether it's a hockey team, whether it's a marketing team, whether it's a division of a business or a family and kids, like you can't give up at the first response, which is mediocre.
Exactly right, and that's kind of the difference, really. I mean, it takes a former college hockey player like you, of course, now a CEO, to pull all this out, but you've nailed it. The first time we're in the backyard for Mike Henry, our captain, who's now running USA Hockey in part in Michigan. Simple assignment, as you said, show up with it. 3 out of 15 brought it in. So after introducing myself, getting to know them, and all this stuff, I ripped them. And I said, this is the problem. This is why we are 0, 22, and 3. Because we came to a simple assignment like this. Any questions? Did you call me? My phone number's on there. Did you email me? No, you didn't. Was it complicated? It's about you. No homework needed whatsoever. All right, and why am I doing this? To help me coach you better. This benefits you, not me. All right, mainly. So what's the problem here? So I'll see you guys on Monday, and you will all have it. Period. I'm not here to debate this. We're not discussing this. And that they responded. And then our first workout, it took us 20 to 30 minutes to stretch and count properly. It should have been about 5.
Yeah.
We just had them do it again. Here's the bar. I will help you to get over it. All right, but I'm not going to lower it.
Yep.
And I think that level of persistence is vital. Chapter 4, I think it is. I should know my own book here, Erika. But And by the way, the swearing earlier, I freely confess,
Sorry.
I love it. No, sorry. In the book, I
As a
confess
hockey
that
coach, you've heard the F word before.
I've heard it. I said it more than anybody. And I said in the book that Tim Nowling, one of my players, great guy, his dad asked him, well, how much does coach really swear? And he thinks about it and he says, well, coach swears more when he's happy than you do when you're pissed. So that's
That's a good way to do
It's
it.
not directed at anybody. That was the key.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what the F is going on here?
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly. I think the other
sports
thing.
culture.
Yep, sports culture is a great culture. I think the other thing that I really liked is that you also set it inviolatable rules. I don't even know if that's a word, but there were the last person, which I was very interesting. The last person to show up at winter practice didn't play in the next game. Like, that would be enough as a student athlete for me. Like, I would have been like 2 hours early. Like, I would want to play so bad. And then I was thinking, like, administratively, like, what happens if, like, the last guy's the best guy? But you also created a social norm, which I think people can do in their teams of, like, I'll give you an example. In business, when you have a big meeting, everybody
Right.
just sits on their laptop and does their email while other people are talking in the meeting. I think that's so fucking rude. I hate when people do that. It drives me nuts. I think it's so disrespectful. But it's my fault because I never set the rule of, like, if you're on your email when I'm talking, you're not in this room. And, like, I loved that you did that.
I appreciate that. And of course, it benefited because I quit coaching in 2004 and I worked with corporations since. So I kind of knew what they're facing, the stuff you see every day. An unfinished thought from before is chapter 4, be patient with results, but impatient with behaviors. So that's where the counting instruction, we'll do it again, do it again, do it again. We get our butts handed to us 13-2 by a hotshot Trenton, 14 state titles. Okay, we worked hard, we support our teammates, I'm good. So you have to, there's your bluff. And likewise, when the star player is the one 5 minutes late for the bus, you take the L.
Yeah.
You leave that guy in the parking lot, you take the L, and you hope, Erika, like hell, that it's November and not March when we're in the tournament.
Yeah.
So if it happens in November, okay, we take the L, but you know what? No one's gonna be late from now on. So if I left our star in the parking lot, I'll sure as hell leave you.
Yeah,
So
that's
don't
right.
think twice about that. So
Yeah.
that's big. Yeah. Then as far as the laptop goes, I also teach at the University of Michigan. And I realized
it.
around 08, 09, you can't do it. Cell phones, laptops, they don't work because everyone's on something. So the rule in my class is no laptops, no cell phones, and no hats. Because I have at Red Berenson and in the old days, Bo Schembeckler and Carol Hutchins coming down, and they won't talk to you like that. So you stick to it on that front. I've had 2,000 students, about 4,000 papers, 5 late papers in 15 years.
That's
and
great.
4 of them are within 4 minutes. I don't care. They can do it. They
Yeah.
can do it.
Yep, that's great. I also really thought that, one of the things I want to talk about lowering the bar versus raising or holding the bar. And then the other thing, I think that I sometimes fall victim to this is what I also appreciated about the book and about you is that you only had 2 rules, which was, I think it was work hard and be a good teammate. So you had 2 rules, you had two values, and then you were flex on everything else. And I think one of the things that young managers and that managers in general mistake people make is so many rules. When you have too many rules, they don't mean anything. Nobody can follow them. You can't keep track of them yourself. So, I think the process of refinement is really important. And I think that seems to be a key part of your success and a key part of people's success.
Thank you. And by the way, you're batting 1,000 with me. So
the next question I would just have for you is, so why do you think leaders and managers or executives or coaches, why are they afraid of millennials and Gen Z? Like, my observation for mediocre businesses with out-of-touch executives is that they're afraid of the people, right? They're afraid of the whims of the millennial or the Gen Z, right? You hear it all the time, the Great Recession, you should be afraid your people are leaving. You have to be more accommodating to your people. They need more time off. They need more flex. They need more benefits. Like, all in all, I think a lot of those things are really good for people and people should do. But I think doing things out of fear for your employees the employee is just going to fuck you over at the end of the day on that point because they know they have you. So what's your perspective on that?
Again, you nailed it. Look, a few things. One, you've got to be about values more than victories, principles more than profits. If you're a win-at-all-cost program and you lose, you have nothing. You have nothing left to fall back on. So the principles help you when the economy turns south, when COVID screws up your numbers, all that stuff. The principles will be your guiding light to get you out of this mess. And without those principles, you're in trouble. So second thing is it's the whole hard to get thing. Look, I mean, as in life, as in junior high school dating, as in anything, if you're so afraid of being alone at the prom, you'll go out with anybody. Well, then that gets around. You don't want that. So the Navy SEALs, guess what? It's not for everybody. That's the point. All right. The Peace Corps is not for everybody. That's the point. I was never afraid of them not showing up, and not one player quit our brutal workouts. They're voluntary off season. This is the worst team in America. This is not the Navy SEALs. All right. When the bar was raised and we had a mission for them, my generation was pay and prestige and power. This generation is a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, a sense of mission. If you give those things, then they're going to get inspired. So that's one thing there. The next thing on the fear thing, I've never seen, and I wrote about this in the book, I've never seen any great leader who was afraid of being fired. Now, on some level I was, any sane person would be. But if you're afraid of being fired, more than being afraid of not doing the job you want to do, then both are going to happen. You're going to suck and you're going to get fired. Mm-hmm. So you might as well die on your sword, man. You might as well, these are my principles and I'm willing to die for this. So that's it. When I walked off that driveway from that first encounter you described with the 3 out of 15 turning in this one-page, questionnaire, I walked out with my assistant coach, Ned Glisson, great guy, and I said, you might be the head coach by Friday.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this went over very well.
Yep.
But I don't care. This is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. I get it. It's not supposed to be for everybody. And not one player quit.
That's incredible. I feel like I'm like watching real life Miracle right now. Do you watch Miracle on repeat? I love Miracle. Like the again scene. Oh my God. It's like I cry so hard at that
That's
movie.
what he did. Look, hey, Erika, I can't lie to you. Herb and I were good friends. He's in the book, of course, a few times.
Yep.
He and I were doing a book, Herb Brooks, that is, who died in 2003, shortly after the movie was finished. We talked a lot during that time, but no, I stole from a lot of masters, no question.
Yeah, that's amazing. What's your advice? So one of the things we just talked about on this show is there's something called the control responsibility matrix, which looks at leadership. So in the top right quadrant, you've got the perfect leader, you've got a leader. On the bottom quadrant, you have the whiner. Then you've got the victim, and then you've got the martyr. The martyr's very empathetic, but doesn't take control. The leader takes control and accountability. The whiner just bitches all the time, and the victim is the vast majority. How do you see that for teammates? Like when you think about people, how does everyone move themselves into the leadership box? And I think one of the biggest misnomers of leadership is like, one, you don't have to be the best player to be a leader. I wasn't the best player, but I was always a great leader. Two is being a leader doesn't necessarily mean in the business sense like managing other people. It's setting an example, it's holding a bar, it's raising a bar, all those phrases. But what's your advice to young people who are trying to find fulfillment, who want the sense of belonging? I think they also still want power. I don't know that they want power, but I do think they want prestige, and I think they want money. How do they move themselves into that leadership box, out of the whiner box, out of the victim box?
Well, first of all, the hierarchy, which I wrote down, I've seen it elsewhere. I agree with that. I see it all the time. I'm sure that's how we started as well. And maybe heavy on the, victim whiner side, because they're 0, 22, and 3, and they didn't get along with a coach. And by that time, you got a million excuses. So there you go. But a few things. One is that one of our phrases in our team is, our leading scorer was our captain 1 out of 4 years. Very rarely was there. You pick your captain to lead. You pick your sales manager to manage sales, not to be a salesperson, to manage salespeople. Those are not the same jobs. Michael Jordan would have made a crappy coach, and Wayne Gretzky and all the rest. These guys don't end up Magic Johnson. They don't end up being great coaches because they've got different skill set, and that's fine. All right, but I want a leader to lead. So one of our phrases on our team was, you don't need a C on your jersey to be a leader around here. In fact, our joke was, leading by example is clearly important. You have to do it, and I know you do. I've read about you, young lady, so got that going for you. But If you don't lead by example, you're a hypocrite. They're not going to follow you, and they shouldn't follow you. But that's not nearly enough. That's getting towards the martyr category, basically. Our joke in our team was we had a name for those who lead by example. They're called sophomores, because all that means is you know your job and you can do your job. Congratulations, you got a jersey, you got a stall in our locker room, you got a place on our bus. That's all you get. That means you're on the damn team. All right. And if you lead by example at Barstool, I hope you get a paycheck. I hope you get a parking spot. I hope you get a cubicle. But that's all you get. All right. That means you have a job. All right. You know your job. You can do your job. As a junior, you know your job. You can do your job. You know everyone else's job too. And as a senior, you know your job. You can do your job. You know everyone else's job too, and you help them do their jobs better. Whether I ask you to or not, you have that authority. You're anointed by me. You're a senior. You sit wherever you want on the bus. You have all kinds of status with that. Whether you're a great player or not, I don't care. All right. You answer to the senior class. And when you get that going, now it's an internal thing. If it's me versus 25 guys, I lose. All right. It's got to be all of us leading together.
That's awesome. John, thank you so much for joining us. If anyone here knows how to read and actually still reads books, I'm a big advocate for books. John has written a book called Let Them Lead. His last name is Bacon. His middle name is Underhill. And you can find it wherever books are sold. John, any last parting thoughts for us?
Keep the faith. This should be fun. It should be inspiring, and it should be more than a paycheck. And if you do it, I think, the right way, and I've got strong views on that, of course. The guys in the book, I quit coaching 17 years ago. I go to their weddings. They come to my barbecue every summer. It was not about the hockey. And as corny as it sounds, Erika, there's got to be some love in there somewhere.
All right. I was on vacation over the holidays. I took a ton of photos. I take photos all the time now. Lots of photos of the cats. I don't want to put my photos on the internet. What I do want to do is put my photos inside of my home. So what I use is FrameBridge. FrameBridge is awesome. It's super easy to use. It's extremely affordable, and the quality is great. So if you've taken a bunch of Instagram photos, or God forbid you've taken photos and not posted them on Instagram, and you actually want to hang them and enjoy them in your house with the people you love, FrameBridge is for you. You can go to a FrameBridge store. You can go to framebridge.com. Their prices start at like $39, super affordable. If you go to framebridge.com, that's FRAMEBRIDGE.com, and you use code TOKEN, you can save an extra 15% off your order. That's framebridge.com, promo code TOKEN. All right, so for adulting today, we're going to get an extra snippet from Coach John Bacon. Coach John Bacon is going to tell us what you can learn from your teachers.
One of my questions I ask in my corporate speeches is, who is your favorite teacher? And I'll put you on the spot right now, Erika. Who was your favorite teacher? I bet you know like that.
Oh, I had two favorite teachers. One was named Shashi.
Oh.
I was terrible at math, but Shashi had so much love for math. I mean, I was a fucking idiot at math, but he was a brilliant teacher. He loved math so much. And then the other was a guy at Colby named Tom Morioni, who like blew my mind because he blew my mind. He made me be a sociology major. He made me love studying people.
So were either of these teachers easy?
No.
I've asked that question a couple hundred times. Vancouver to Sao Paulo to San Diego, Chile, all across North and South America. Never once is anybody's favorite teacher easy. And then you say, did they care about you? Yes, they did. So that is leadership, honestly, in a nutshell. Think of your favorite teacher. They were tough, but they cared about me. That's it. Everything else is details. If you're easy, if you care about me, but you're not tough, I need that easy A, but I'm not going to remember you. All right. If you're tough, but you don't care about me, you're a jackass. I'll remember you, but I will not like you, and I will not work for you if I can avoid it. All right. If you care about me so much that you will not accept a B+ effort as good enough, that guy you don't forget. That woman you don't forget. That is leadership in a nutshell. That's the whole thing. Be that person.
All right. Work like a girl. So Work Like a Girl is next. We have a story of a student. Lo and behold, she's female, hence Work Like a Girl. She took a single misogynistic comment from her professor and she created it into a cause for good. So this fall, a political science professor at Boise State University, side note, ruined our Arizona Bowl, but anyways, this professor was speaking at the National Conservatism Conference. In his speech, he said that men should be prioritized for different fields of study, especially in STEM fields. The STEM fields, as you probably know, are science, technology, engineering, and math. he essentially in his speech rejected feminism. So just for the people in the back, he said that in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, men should be prioritized, probably because men are better at math, science, technology, and engineering than women, right? His speech was applauded at the conference. Alarming, but online he was ripped. Women make, as most people know, less than 30% of the STEM workforce. Women are not in STEM, not because they're not good at math, but because STEM is inherently sexist and rigid and not flexible and not inclusive, and women have not been given the opportunities that men and boys have been given to get into and thrive and excel in those fields. Enter Allie Orr. So Allie Orr, hope she's related to Bobby Orr, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. Allie wanted to do more than just talk about the statements on social media.
And so after it hit the news and it went viral and everyone was talking about it, he released a Twitter reply video, which he then stated his beliefs again and said, this is exactly what I believe. You've not taken my words out of context. This is it. So that made me even more mad. And so someone had posted a comment on that video and said, someone should make a scholarship for these women in his name. And I saw that comment and I thought, that is the biggest, most loudest way to say, I disagree. And I'll show you how I disagree. So after seeing that comment, I thought, I'm going to do this. This is so exciting.
For a scholarship to be instituted at the school, you need a 4-year commitment and a $10,000 minimum.
So the initial goal was $10,000 because that's the minimum for a current scholarship, which means it can be given out once. So someone would just receive like $10,000. And so that's great, but that doesn't send a message. An endowed scholarship exists forever. And so the minimum for an endowment is $25,000. So I knew we had to hit 10K because I can't just open a scholarship. So I launched it at like 10 p.m., sent those emails out. I think the last one I sent out was like 2 a.m. And then the next morning, for the next like 12 hours, we hit $10,000. And so then I thought, okay, 25,000 is totally attainable. So I set the goal of 25,000. And then on Sunday night, which was 3 days after I launched it, we hit 25,000.
Allie said the support has been overwhelming, both at Boise and beyond.
And so the scholarship office, which they call it the Advancement Services Office, they were phenomenal in helping me. It was really fun to be able to write the criteria. And so that was also a really tough part, is deciding like what kind of students are we looking for to direct this scholarship towards? And a lot of scholarships are usually directed toward like very strictly towards like a very specific demographic, blah, blah. And that makes it easier to give out financial aid because, you know, you only have like 50 people that can apply. So for this, they kept reminding me, you know, like try and narrow it. And I thought, no, I'm going to make it so general. And so the GPA is 2.5. We did make a minimum credit limit. So you have to have at least 30 credits just so we know, like, you know what you're doing. You're going to those fields. And also there's no financial need associated. So any financial situation that you have, those people can apply. And I am really proud of the way it's written, and I'm so excited to hand out the first scholarship. Either this May or April, we'll announce the student that gets it, and then in the fall they'll receive it financially.
As for the professor, this is what Allie has to say about him.
I think 133,000 screams everything that I need to say, and it's not worth it playing games with him or trying to debate. He's written 3 books about this, so I know where he stands, he knows where I stand, and I'll continue to fund women.
Allie Orr is working like a girl. That's it for today's episode. If you haven't already, subscribe, leave us a rating, give us a review. Thank you for listening to this for 200 episodes. That's shocking. I guarantee no one here has listened to them all, not even myself. But we keep at it. I think this is going to be our best episode yet, and we're only getting better. You can DM us video questions. You can tweet us. You can Instagram us. You can watch us on TikTok. You can go to worklikeagirl.com if you want to find a job, or you can join one of our mentorship groups or communities on Facebook. I'm at EK Nardini, Token CEO, and myself that's it. Goodbye.